So this is my movie pitch. There is a little girl. She's playing with her toys. She's about 4 or 5. And she's playing with her Barbie dolls. She creates this world. And she creates characters, purposes, relationships, roles, responsibilities. And she plays with this world for a while. And she ends up becoming this reality that she created, where now she's in high school and what she created with these Barbie dolls has become her real life. Very the plastics, mean girly, right? And then she ends up realizing that she's not really enjoying it. And she's at this point learning that she's a sketch artist. She has a really cool sketch talent. So then she's just playing, with her sketch pad one day, her iPad or whatever. She got her headphones on, and she starts just sketching this world over her high school years. And as she's sketching this world, it's just really cool, it's really fun, it's very different, very techy, very comic-y, blah blah blah. And she ends up graduating high school, becoming this reality that she created. Boom. And she ends up enjoying it, but she realizes something is missing. And she's doing this job that she created from her, from when she was sketching, right? Now this job that she ends up doing, like, she's working as a newspaper uh person, writing comics and things of that sort for this newspaper in New York City, sure. And then literally there comes a moment where she's just in her apartment and she's just bored. She's kind of done with life at this point. She's given mid-20s, coming up to her Saturn return. She just started writing a story. She was like, fuck it, I just want to write a novel. I'm watching Netflix. I'm watching TV. I'm just really bored with everything that's just out right now. And she wants something different to watch, but she's just like, okay, fuck it. I'm just going to create it on my own. And so she ends up finding a TV show that she does like binging, but she always zones out and ends up going back to her computer writing this story. And it's this really cool love story, but it's just how she's like falling in love with different versions of herself. She ends up having a dream, and she has a dream. She ends up getting more downloads about this world. So then she wakes up middle of the night. She's just really hammering it on her computer, like busting out this story. And she ends up writing this whole entire saga, where by the end of the saga she is having a book tour promoting these books. And as she's doing this, literally she gets a download middle of her book tour, reading it to her audience, and she closes the book and it's quiet for a second and everybody's just looking at her. And she's in her mid-30s by this point, done finished her Saturn return. And as she's just in silence, her assistant, taps her, babe, the audience. And she goes, excuse me, I got to share with you guys what just came in. I know we're supposed to be doing this book tour, da 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 da, but I need to share with you what just came over me. And she goes, my whole life, I've always been a storyteller. I've always been somebody to create these worlds and these realms. I've always been so connected to my imagination, and I didn't realize how my imagination was something I was so involved in that it was really creating the world that I was living in, where the different versions of me that I didn't recognize in the present, but I was truly creating these modes that I would then step into. And now I understand that as much as I love this whole saga and series that I created, I made it as if it was a fantasy. And now I realize the reality that I am able to create. And so she ends up saying to them, I thank you guys for being supportive of the art and the things. And I'm so glad many of you love this story and things, but I realize that this is not the life that I want to live. This is not what I want for myself. And so as much as I'm entertained by it, I realize that I get to now create a story for me. And it's in this moment that she begins to shift, where she finishes her book tour and the book sales are going great, but she takes a hiatus and she goes on this whole like eat, pray, love type of moment, where she's just going to go remember herself, remember her gifts, remember what she's capable of. And this is where she starts to do this shadow work, this inner child work, where she starts to realize I've been like, these were the stories I wrote, these were the versions of me that I was creating. This is what I knew, this is what I've learned, this is why I needed those stories, this is what they taught me. Where she begins to really deconstruct this false self that she had created. It was this version of her that she thought would always be a fantasy, a version of herself that she always thought would be so far off, like it's not something that she could actually become. And she realized that she would always get bored with life, but it was because she was ultimately really bored with herself. She would play these characters in these roles, and then the moment that the acts were over, she was really done. And she knew that she could be so multidimensional. She knew she could change. She knew she could evolve. She knew she could be so many different things, but she had no clue that she could actually be every fucking thing at once. She could be everything at once. She could be a girly girl, femi type, tomboy, fucking homie bro, comedic, prissy, princess, cunty little doll. She realized that she could be the dancer and the skier and the actress and the writer and the producer and the musician and the everything, because she no longer needed to perform for people. She just needed to be herself for herself. So her life no longer was a series of, let me showcase my talents, let me show people who I am, let me show people what I'm made of. It was just, honestly, I love to share. I love to just share my art, so I do. I love to just be myself, so I am. I create a website that is just the house of me. And everything that I do is just on this website. It's available for people to enjoy because I love sharing what's in my mind. I love sharing how creative I am. I love sharing just the ideas that I have. And I don't want just a blog. I don't want just a newspaper. I don't want just a magazine. I don't want just a movie. I don't want just an album. I want everything. And so I can have it all. I don't need a label in order for myself to be a successful musician, because I'm successful as a musician because I make music every time the music is flowing through my motherfucking spirit and bones. She goes, I don't need a publisher for myself to be a successful author because I'm able to write whenever I want to write, and I can just put the art out on my website and people can buy it whenever they want to because they just choose to fuck with me. I don't need to be a successful public speaker because I'm getting booked for TEDx talks and TED Talks and everything all around the world in different conferences, because anytime that I want to talk, there is always somebody there to listen, whether it's social media, whether it's the clerk at the fucking grocery store, whether it's the person that makes my burrito bowl at the motherfucking Qdoba. I get to just do what I want to do and be who I want to be everywhere it is so. I don't have to be a successful motherfucking rapper that is now performing on Grammy stages and things, because I get to be me and rap wherever I want to rap, whether it's on the train on my way to my next event with my friends, or I'm on my way to this concert, and so it's a whole motherfucking fashion production because I'm wearing what I want to wear in the presence of people everywhere I am. She just realizes I get to just live life as me, and it's not about me pleasing people or being on other people's stages. Life itself is a stage. Life itself is my story, and I can live it now. And then it just kind of shows her living life, doing her thing, enjoying it. Really just a regular Joe Blow type of girl, having fun, just happy, living so many different stories, but as her multi-dimensional self. And on her deathbed, bitch, at the end, she's 120. She done lived this whole fucking life. And she just starts to zoom out on all of her stories. And she realizes that all these worlds she created, she lived, and she remembers living them intentionally, and she remembers when she lived them unintentionally. And it zooms out to her again, 4 or 5, playing with her Barbie dolls, where it all began. And then it zooms out again, and it's her, ethereal, looking at herself Job well done, sis. I'm glad you have fun. Bitch, that's the end of the movie. Period.